What's up, everybody? I'm David Hain. Welcome to episode 246 of the A to D from Addict to Disciple podcast. If you enjoy this podcast, please like, subscribe, follow, share the link with your friends. And if you'd like to get our curriculum, you can get the paperback or ebook of From Ashes to Destiny on Amazon. Today's Wacky Wednesday again, and the first of my two Wacky Wednesday episodes is this one, number 246, and it's entitled When Dreams Die. This comes from Phase 2 of the From Ashes to Destiny curriculum, which deals with heart wounds. And I'm going to read two short stories from Chapter 6 of Phase 2, and this chapter is entitled The Heart of Broken Dreams. Here's the first story. The Lancaster, Pennsylvania Sunday News reported, and I quote, Spaz, who said she is 23 but looks twice as old, said she has been turning tricks on the streets of Atlantic City for 5 years since arriving from New York. I really don't want to be doing this, she said. I want to get my GED and become a child's counselor. But I get sick and I gotta get well. Bunny, who also works the streets of Atlantic City, said, This is no kind of life. None of us graduates from high school thinking we're going to end up doing this. Sure. Two very poignant and honest reactions from young women working the streets of Atlantic City and supporting their heroin addiction by working the streets. The second short story from the Lancaster, PA New Era reported the sentencing of a man who burglarized homes to support his heroin addiction. And this is what they said in the story. The judge who sentenced him to 12 to 24 years in prison stated, I recognize that you had a difficult childhood. However, ultimately, you have to take responsibility for yourself. I think it's somewhat ironic the times you chose to commit these burglaries. While your victims were making an honest living, you felt it was appropriate to break in and steal from them. The defense attorney said his client was remorseful and his actions were motivated by his heroin addiction. Okay. That's our two short stories for this episode. Now let's get into the digging deeper. Let's get into some questions from these stories. Number one, Spaz said, I really don't want to be doing this. So I want to ask you, how could that be your comment? Was there any time you were looking at your choices and your behavior and your addiction when you said, I really don't want to be doing this, but, or since this episode is entitled When Dreams Die, did your addiction lifestyle become your new dream life? Okay. Second area for questions. Bunny said none of us graduated from high school and thinking that we're going to end up doing this. So I want to ask you, what were your high school dreams? When did they die? Who or what stole your dreams? Number three, the young man who burglarized homes to get money for heroin had a difficult childhood. The judge told him to take responsibility for himself. I want to ask you, when were you faced with growing up early or taking responsibility for yourself? Who told you that? Who's the one who said, no, you have to be the man now, you have to be the woman now, time to grow up, stop acting like a child? How did that tend to limit how big you were able to dream from that point on? Number four, this young man who got sentenced by the judge to 12 to 24 years Also heard condemning words from the judge about making an honest living. And I want to ask you, what condemning words have you heard that killed dreams in you? Right? The judge presented his opinion that, this heroin addict, was victimizing people while they were off making an honest living, and he was being a criminal. So what condemning words have you heard that killed dreams in you, and how do you think those words killed the dreams in this young man who was facing 12 to 24 years inside? Okay, those are the questions from the two stories, but I want to dig a little bit deeper, well, actually a lot deeper, and see what you think about this. So the first question, this is number 5 of the questions I'm asking. I want to know what may have died as a result of your addiction. So I want you to be able to think about, discuss what dreams of yours died as a result of your addiction. And when you finish that, I want you to think about your parents and your siblings, your grandparents. What dreams did they have for you that died in them when you became an addict? And then the next category, I want you to think about your spouse, your baby's mama, your children. What dreams died in them when you got caught up in your addiction? Okay. Then finally, the 6th and final area for thought and discussion today is, as you dig into naming the dreams, I want you to go back to your dreams, your parents and siblings, your spouse and children's dreams, and discuss what possible heart wounds resulted in each of those people when their dreams died for you. Okay, I know this one's heavy, but this is a big chapter for me because I think it's important to keep dreaming, and I think a lot of people that I've met in addiction and even in recovery are still afraid to dream again. They are tired of dreams dying. They're tired of broken dreams. They're tired of being told, take responsibility, and you can't get this job anymore because now you have a criminal record or you've been caught up in your addiction too long. So I think it's important for all of us to be able to dream again, to dream big, to dream bigger than we can imagine. And so it's really important as we look at heart wounds to dig into these heart wounds from dreams that died and to see how that affected our addiction and how it's affecting our recovery. Thanks for listening to this episode of the A to D from Addict to Disciple podcast. So if you were saying, that's me, David, you hit a nerve there, then I want to encourage you to reach out and join a group. You can message me on the link in this podcast or by email at davidfroma2d@gmail.com or go to my website, www.froma2d.org, and click on the contact page. If you're listening on Spotify, you can leave your comments by clicking on the link they provide in that platform. Keep listening to future podcasts, and as always, stay safe and stay resilient.